layers up our being, body, an instrument made up of senses to receive the signals for the experiences, mind, an experiencer made up of thinking brain operating on the memory stored up in every cell of our physical body, energy generated from the food and water we consume, the air we breathe. It empowers the body and the mind to function in the world. Let's take a bit wider view on our existence. We, as a human and other species, are the trillions of cells of the living planet Earth, a planet which breathes and receives the energy from the sun. We exist because the Earth exists. The Earth exists because the sun exists. And the sun exists because our Milky Way galaxy exists. And galaxy exists because of the infinite universe exists. Now let's come back to the layer where we experience the individual sense of identity, the mind. A constantly active individual mind at a given point in time can be put on a mental scale as shown here. Let's start from the lowest stage. -3 is the lowest mental state. Call it madness, while 2 can be called as highest mental state. Call it mindfulness. The true liberation is beyond mindfulness. It is a state where no mind or matter is perceived. Stage -2, while alone and no physical activity is being performed. The thought process jumping from past to future, future to past. The thoughts are like mad monkey jumping, wild elephant wrestling, very frequently mood changing, and it's a profound state of unease and dissatisfaction. The individual in this state tries to get engaged with some physical or mental task or looks for social interactions. Stage -1. Mind is engaged in routine tasks, mental or physical. For example, tasks on the daily job or driving maybe. Mind is performing the task and the thought process is also active. Stage 0. A fully focused creative stage. For example, playing sports, intense acts such as dance or listening music, performing creative tasks at job, stunning visuals. Inventions and discoveries happens only being in this stage, as mind is fully focused and visualization occurs. Stage 1. A significant meditative state. No physical actions, body is stable and thoughts density is significantly reduced because one is observing bodily sensations and the thoughts as they are arising and passing. This stage can also be experienced by a devotee through devotional practices like chanting, singing, dancing, and being in love with the Creator. When thought tries to slow down, mind pulls a pace, a word, incidents, or sensation from a memory. You will be stunned to see how mind pulls a pace or sensation or past event from memory, just out of nowhere. It's like putting a hand in floating water and catching a random fish. The face or event appears so clearly on observation plane as if it was just happened a few moments back. For example, a face of a person which you might not have met since past 20 years appears so clearly as if you have met him yesterday. An event of childhood is realized so clearly as if it was happened a few days back. Once the thought or sensation arises on the observation plane, then associated events also get pulled on the observation surface by the mind. If an observer state is not maintained, then very soon this stage turns into -2 stage, which is mad monkey jumping. Stage 2. A perfectly still body and mind is being actively observed. Sensations like sound, touch, smell are still received and perceived. However, no reaction is generated at mental or physical level. A state where no recordings of current happenings is made into the memory. This is the highest mental stage, but still a mental state, and efforts needed to maintain it. Similar state can be experienced by a devotee when he or she experiences oneness with the Creator. Stage 3. Enlightenment, Nirvana, perfect unity with the entire existence. A perfectly still body and mind, no observer, no experiencer. Beyond time and space, beyond sense of individual identity. Similar state can be experienced by a devotee when he or she is left with no devotee, no devotion. Just a creation, just a pure energy. Conscious efforts needs to be made to elevate through these mental stages. Hence, practice is utmost important than just intellectual understanding. So if we try to map the humanity on this scale, the majority of humanity at this moment in time is trending between -2 and -1. We are all doing repetitive jobs, tasks in routine program life. We can see ourselves how many moments we are creative. We are in stage 0. How many people in this world are creative? How many people in this world are meditative in their actions? No wonder we see so much of hatred, stress, and anxiety in our society. It is difficult to represent how many are there in stage 3 on this scale, as there are only a handful in billions of people on this planet. Now the good news is, there are proven methods to elevate through these mental stages and be master of yourself. The methods are not just training your brain by meditation techniques, but opening your heart by experiencing the reality beyond the senses. Putting this mental scale in the perspective with what George Gurdjieff has famously said about the current state of humanity. Man has no individual I, but there are instead hundreds and thousands of separate small I's, very often entirely unknown to one another, never coming into contact, or, on the contrary, hostile to each other, mutually exclusive and incompatible. Each minute, each moment, man is saying or thinking I, and each time his I is different. Just now it was a thought, now it's a desire, now a sensation, now another thought, and so on endlessly. Without self-knowledge, without understanding the working and the functions of his machine, man cannot be free, and he cannot govern himself, and he will always remain a slave. Putting this mental scale in the perspective with what Osho has said about the creativity. You become more divine as you become more creative. All the religions of the world have said God is creator. I don't know whether he is a creator or not, but one thing I know, the more creative you become, the more godly you become. When your creativity comes to a climax, when your whole life becomes creative, you live in God. So he must be the creator, because people who have been creative have been closest to him. Love what you do. Be meditative while you're doing it, whatsoever it is. The ending of sorrow is the beginning of wisdom. Knowledge is always within the shadow of ignorance. Meditation is a freedom from thought and movement in the ecstasy of truth. Meditation is explosion of intelligence. Krishnamurti. And finally, perhaps the most simplified version of stage 3, put in words by Nisargadatta Maharaj. Wisdom is knowing I am nothing, Love is knowing I'm everything, and between the two, my life moves. Beware, meditation term is abused in these days. Dwelling on sensory pleasures or dulling your senses is not meditation. There is a limitation on how much pleasure you can receive through the physical senses. Abusing it will inevitably cause breakdown of your body-mind system. Doing or learning so-called lot of mindfulness could also hold you off. Remember, it's a practice, not stuffing the ideas in your brain will help you to progress. In next presentation, let's discuss about the practices and how we can progress through these mental stages. Be well.